Another edition of First Person, sponsored by the Ruin Camp Farm Drainage Company in Fort Loramie, Ohio. 80 years of experience, farm, residential, and commercial. They'll make water work for you. Call Phil Barhorst again at Ruin Camps in Fort Loramie. We're at St. Henry this afternoon talking about high school football again. It's July, it's camp days, and this is the head football coach of the St. Henry Redskins, Brad Luthman. It's fun to be in St. Henry. I appreciate your time. Let's talk football.
All right, it's good having you, Si.
Thank you so much. The first thing I want to ask you is, we talked a little bit last year. I saw you the one time last year on opening night against Covington, and I said, what have you learned, you know, in your first game as head coach? Now I'm going to ask you, what did you learn in your first year as a head football coach in the MAC conference at St. Henry, where you're expected to win?
I tell you what, you know, I pride myself being a football junkie, and I've read it and seen it in so many quotes. And they always, you know, somebody always says, you know, I didn't know what I didn't know. And I always thought I wasn't going to be that guy, but I tell you what, I didn't know what I didn't know. For at least 5, 6, 7 games, it felt like maybe our 6th game against Marion, even though they put a lopsided score against us, it was until our 6th game that I really felt like, as a staff, we did a decent job of giving our kids an edge. And we started to build something, but boy, it took a little bit. But I mean, Jeff Starkey was here for 14 years, you know, gave everything he had to this program, won 2 state titles, had some success, and those coaches coached with him for so long that change is never easy, especially when, you know, big scheme changes both sides of the ball, and we had big coaching turnover. Not only the head coach, but lost 3 long-time assistants and picked up 3 brand new guys that were actually younger than me, so that goes ahead and tells you where we're sitting at. But
I talk to people and kids who play in this league, but the coaches tell me, particularly off the record, they say, you know, the MAC will grind you down. And I talked to Mitch Stallman, your quarterback, earlier today, and he just said, you know, the reality of playing in this league is you got to go through Coldwater, you got to go through Marion Local, 2 defending state champions 2 years in a row before you can even think about success for yourself. That has to weigh heavy on your mind too, because that is the reality of the matter.
Sure. I tell you, every Friday night you got to, what's that old, bring your lunch pail to work, right? You got to bring your defense, and you got to bring a hard-nosed running game. You want to have a chance. And I'll tell you, for us early on, you know, we couldn't stop the run and we couldn't run the ball, and those are 2 sure ways to lose high school football games. And to the credit of our seniors last year and our team last year, as we kept building, we got better and better to the point we feel like we have a foundation this year. And I will say this, as long as it doesn't come off the wrong way, you know, at some point our goal here as a program's got to be to develop an edge to where you're talking to some other league coach and you're saying, man, you guys got to go through St. Henry.
That's right.
That's the goal, but we got to earn that, right?
You know, part of the issue of earning that, there's a little bit of luck involved and genetics involved, and every high school coach that I've ever talked to says, you know, that cycle of athletes has to favor you. And I know in recent years people have said they've been a little slower, they've been a little smaller than what St. Henry used to be, and yet you've got to coach through that. You've got to, that's what you have to, you got to dance with the girl you love.
You know, I mean, we don't have, like our AD, we don't have Denny Wendell walking through that door. We don't have Jeff Hardings walking through that door. The long litany of names, if you go look out in our weight room, all the college guys that, you know, started this tradition, built this tradition. But
Bobby Hoying helps.
But, oh, absolutely, Bobby and Tommy and all those guys. And, I mean, that's not counting the names that didn't make it big in college, you know. But that doesn't excuse us from, you know, our standards and the way we should play football year in and year out, week in and week out. People say cycles of athletes, and, you know, I believe in that too, but to a point you got to have a foundation, because I'm going to give all the credit in the world to Coldwater and Marion, because do cycles last 20 years? I mean, what Tim Goodwin's done in 14 years over there, what Chip's done for the last 5, 6 years, I mean, sure there's some cycles, but they got the right culture, and that's what we need to keep reestablishing it. You know, I don't know how fast cultures go away, but we need to re-find ours.
Brad Luthman, the coach at St. Henry, our guest this week on First Person. I want to bring up something that I talked about with your former boss over the winter, and I asked Tim Goodwin, because you were an assistant there, You played for Al Hattrick at Versailles, and I asked him just how long will it take, for Bradluthman to get what he wants going. And he said, well, he came up under a good program here. He knows what winning feels like, and once you get that feeling, I'm paraphrasing of course,
Sure.
but he said, once you know that feeling, it never strays too far. Talk about that a little bit as your own experience of coming from Tim's program to here as head coach.
Well, success breeds success. Everybody wants to be a part of a winner. You work a little bit harder, there's a little bit more of an edge, and it really doesn't. The winning and all that stuff's great, but there's a certain camaraderie. When you get paid off at the end on Friday night, awesome. But there's just this certain feeling, this gut feeling that, I'm working and it's worth it, because we know that the stuff we're doing in January that we're doing in July is going to make us feel pretty good on Friday night and, October and November and all that kind of thing. And, what they got going on over there is pretty special. We're chasing, and, all the credit in the world to them.
Here it is, mid-July. You got that first year under your belt. I know the St. Henry people are going to watch this video this week, and they're looking for a little something out there from the coach. Give them a little something for 2014.
Well, I feel, at least as a second-year coach, and I guess Tim would tell you this too, this is something we used to always talk about, like the hardest thing about the first year was not knowing where everybody fit. You just tried to use your eyeball, but you didn't know which kid where specifically, you didn't know the intangibles. And I feel like I got a lot better handle on that, and I feel like I really like our depth. We got 15 seniors that are all pretty good group of tight, close-knit, hard-working guys. So we'll have some depth along both lines. We'll probably have some holes to fill at linebacker, at fullback, but we're going to try to roll with the best of them and see what we can give them.
And you got a returning quarterback, and that's so important to have a kid that's been there 1 year as a sophomore last year, back as a junior this year. I know you like him.
Well, I got to tell you, and we talk about it all the time now. I mean, Covington beat us down last year. Just throw it out there. We got a lot to work forward to. And, Coach Miller runs a great program. And that was Mitchell's first game last year, and it was my first game as a head coach, and I was probably way too conservative, especially once we got down with their grinded out offense. We should have been winging the ball all over there. And that was Mitchell's first game last year, and it was my first game as a head coach, and I was probably way too conservative, especially once we got down with their grinded out offense. We should have been winging the ball all over the place, and I just kept trying to guard his.
Be balanced.
Yeah, we'll try to guard him a little bit, not let him come out and get some bad confidence or anything like that out of it. Well, this year I got all the confidence in the world in him. He, showed us everything we needed to see last year.
You mentioned Covington, and you're going to open the season with them again this year, and you said, as you said, last year was kind of an eye-opening game for the fact that that league gets a bad rap a lot of times for the fact of quality football top to bottom. Covington's Covington. They are quality, they're consistent, they've been there since '99, an incredible record of like 84% winning percentage. And you start the season with them again this year. I know they highly respect St. Henry and that win over a MAC team. And that's got to be a very, very special way for you to start your season as well as for them this year.
Well, I got to tell you, interesting little anecdote. This off season, I was talking to Brent Niekamp, head coach at Fort Recovery, and he goes, as many times as I saw Covington on film, he goes, what it really reminded me of was those old 90s Versailles football teams. Just getting off the ball, hand the ball off 65 times, and just, impose your will. And that's what they were. I mean, you start to study their offense, and, I've been studying the hell out of it this,
don't worry about that.
I've been doing, as much as I can. And they don't run, and I'm sure Coach Miller will tell you that, they don't run a ton of stuff, but it all is so well put together. It all so constrains each other and plays well off of each other, and they do it to such perfection. And that's a great offense. Coach Goodwin will tell you that too. So
yeah, he learned firsthand.
Oh yeah, he did.
Fourth and 10, and picks up the first down on the forward pass because you don't want to punt the ball back to Covington.
That's a play call you make when you got 6 state titles in your
That's
back pocket.
exactly right. That's exactly right. For those people in St. Henry, the good people here, looking for a great omen for the future, it's sitting right beside me in the person of the head coach, Brad Luthman. We wish you the best this year. Thanks for the time.
Thanks, son.
It is so fun to be a part of this and come up here and talk to you, and we wish you nothing but the best.
Hey, I appreciate it.
Wraps up another edition of First Person, again brought to you by the Ruin Camp Farm Drainage Company, Phil Barhorst up in Fort Laramie. 80 years of experience to make water work for you. For the sponsor and Coach Luthman, again, we thank you for your support of high school sports here on Press Pros Magazine. We'll see you again next time with another edition of First Person.